the question is this. When instruction fails in your classroom, what happens? When instruction fails in your classroom, what happens? I was lucky enough to be able to take my family to Phoenix last year, and we don't do it very often. But while we were in Phoenix, my wife and my 2 daughters, we went out to a really fancy restaurant. And we don't do it very often, but we did it in Phoenix. We ate at a very, very, very fancy and nice restaurant. And I know that everybody's family is different. Everybody has different thoughts about how things are. So just so you understand my family, in my family, a very fancy restaurant is any restaurant where you don't go up to the counter to order your food, okay? So we were at Denny's, and the waitress brought a basket of bread and 2 different kinds of butter. And my kids had never seen anything like this. They looked at me and they said, "Dad, what's up with the 2 different kinds of butter?" And I said, the red one is regular butter, and the black one is cinnamon butter. And they looked at me like I was crazy. They had no idea what I was talking about. And I did what I think most teachers do when instruction fails. I blamed the learner. And then I taught it again a little bit slower and a little bit louder. The red one is regular butter, and the black one is cinnamon butter. And they looked at me like I was nuts. They had no idea what I was talking about. And I did what I think most teachers do when instruction fails. I blamed the learner. And I got mad at them. I said, "Come on, it's not that hard." Like, telling your students it's not that hard helps them learn something. But I think about my interactions with students in the classroom. I did this all the time. When instruction fails in your classroom, what happens? And by the way, instruction fails almost every single day. You will teach something to your students. You'll have 25 students in front of you. You'll teach something. 22 of them will learn it. 3 of them will not. What do you do with those 3? I think most teachers' natural response is to blame those 3. There must be something wrong with them. Everybody else is learning it, and I'm teaching it well. And so what do? We already have a lesson planned, so we just teach it again, a little bit slower and a little bit louder, and then we punish them, or we yell at them. Then I did the next thing, which is naturally to threaten them with punishment. I said, "Come on, it's not that hard. Do you need to go back to the hotel room? Is that what you want to do? You want to leave this restaurant right now and go back to the hotel room? Do we need to get on a plane and fly back to Milwaukee?" Trust me, when you're in Phoenix, flying back to Milwaukee is a punishment. So have you done this? Have you threatened kids with punishment because they weren't learning in your classroom? Threatened to keep them in for recess or hold them after school because they aren't learning? This is a teacher's natural response. So when instruction fails in your classroom, what happens? This went on for 20 minutes in the restaurant. It wasn't until my oldest daughter just yelled at me. She said, "Dad, they're both the same color." I said, "What?" She said, "They're both the same color. They're both kind of yellowish, brownish, buttery colored." I said, "Not the butter, the containers that they're in. One of them's red and one of them's black." Soon as I said that, they both were like, oh yeah, makes perfect sense. You know, it never would have occurred to me to teach it differently. I was teaching it so well the first time. It never occurred to me to adjust instruction. When instruction fails in your classroom, what happens? And I really believe this. I believe how you answer this question will define your career as a teacher. If when instruction fails in your classroom, when you teach something to 25 students and 22 of them learn it and 3 of them don't, and you say, "There must be something wrong with those 3 because I taught it well, they had their chance, it's their job to change, not mine," that will define your career as a teacher. On the other hand, if when instruction fails in your classroom and you say, "Boy, I taught it the best I could, 22 of them learned it and 3 of them didn't," it's my job, my unique role as a teacher, to try to come up with another way to teach this to them. And the second time I teach it a different way. If only 2 of those 3 learn it and there's still 1 left, it's my job, my unique role as a classroom teacher, to come up with a third way to teach it. I'll go to the ends of the earth until the last student learns it. If you make that decision, that will define your career as a teacher.
I love it. I think he's really engaging. I've seen a lot of people speak before, and they've kind of been like Ben Stein, where they're very monotonous. They're not excited about being there, and he's excited about it. And you can tell that he really wants to kind of share with you his experiences, and I think that kind of helps you relate more because it's more personal. He's sharing personal experiences with you.
I'm really impressed. This is like the first out of the school seminar that I've done, and it's really inspirational to hear a guy who who has found such reward in teaching, and you know, to learn from someone who's found such a gratifying, satisfying experience in teaching. As a new teacher, it's, you know, it's really motivational and inspiring, you know, not just to my students to use these techniques, but to me also.
I think it's very refreshing. It's not boring, and we're engaged, and the things he's saying and he's sharing with us actually make sense, and they're things that we can do, so it's interesting.
Hi, I'm Pat Quinn. For more information about the Motivating Unmotivated Students seminar and to find dates and locations in your area, visit betterteachingonline.com.